Ben, you mentioned one of the issues that you have with the cloud is latency. Can you go into a bit of a detail there? Because I think we all do. And let me also say, you mentioned TriCaster, vMix, those kinds of things. When I used to build out corporate boardrooms for Ernst & Young and other companies, they'd say, oh, we can use the TriCaster output to do the image magnification. No, you can't, because there's a 3-frame buffer that looks.
You can, it ain't gonna be pretty.
Yeah, and if you wave here, it's going to wave here, half a second later. But when you move sort of totally to the cloud, latencies do become a really big deal.
Yeah, latency is an issue for a couple of reasons. At the very core of it, you have people in different locations, and it's that traditional, hey, it's a delay before I hear you and a delay before you hear me back. So from a pure content level, that's an issue. But the other major issue I have with latency is on the control room side, which is intercom. You have not just your talent talking, but also everyone behind the scenes.
Sure.
Which means things like if you have a speaker on, everyone's going to have their speaker on at a different time, and WebRTC and any other protocol can't cancel out all of those speakers and all of those people talking at the same time. Even two people in the same room will be sending signals at slightly different times. I envision a world in this cloud and even remote world, even if you're, hybrid, where you have a on-prem control room, but people out in the field, you're never going to be able to use speakers ever again in a control room if you want people not to hate themselves and want to not work for you because they keep hearing echoes in the headsets. And I don't know of any legitimate way to make that work just because of how physics and internet speeds work. Just latency of people talking and hearing things at different times on different devices, I think is going to be one of the long-term problems that is going to be very, very hard to solve. Because ultra low latency isn't enough. A quarter second is way too much when you're dealing with just people talking in intercom.
Well, and I come out of a video conferencing background too. So for me, 250 milliseconds is the upper end that we could deal with. Now, it's interesting. I've heard of a lot of small productions actually just doing a conference call using an audio bridge because they have that synchronized, very, very low latency phone conversation between them. Is that just a stopgap until we can get the IP issues dealt with?
It's a stopgap because even with that, first of all, you're physically muting and unmuting, and you don't have all the things like different party lines and the ability to individually talk to people in the same way. So yeah, it'll get the job done. And during COVID, it got a lot done for a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is, it takes electrical signals a certain amount of time to get from place to place. And, outside of a string and paper cups, I'm not sure if there's any magical way to get that low enough to be the true real time of a physical control room with everyone on-prem together.